Hi, welcome back to Joe's Nostalgia Overload. Now today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite things, Coach, the TV show. This is the 12 classic episodes of the 80s and 90s sitcom Coach that you need to watch. Now in Season 1, Episode 11, Whose Team Is It Anyway?, we're introduced to star quarterback Carter Fredrickson, who kinda looks like Blaine Gabbert and has the team-first mentality of Mike Wallace. And if you don't know football, look it up. Okay, I'm not going to explain references. So Hayden has a major problem on his hand. He doesn't want to finish the season 5 and 6.
You go 6 and 5, everybody's looking forward to the next year. 5 and 6, they're looking for loopholes in your contract.
And you don't want to support Dauber and Luther for the rest of your life. That's too much of a burden. And Carter has been skipping practices. So not to lose his star player, Coach decides, you know what, Carter? You can fake an illness, just stay home, and you don't have to come to practice.
All right, you're sick. You go to your apartment, and you stay there. Is that a deal?
But this moron decides, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go out on the town, and I'm going to go to a club. The Touchdown Club. You know, the club that Hayden is always at. So eventually Coach just has to bench Carter because Carter's an ass.
You're an ass.
So you're a losing quarterback with attitude issues.
Oh, good.
You're not getting drafted,
We're all going
dude.
to pros. Because I was afraid I was
I
going to
don't know
miss
what
those
delusions
guys.
you have. One of the great things this show had was all the cameos from actual pro football players and football coaches.
You know, talking with three guys that I consider to be, well, living legends.
Now, this was pre-league, so there was nothing outrageous. So when you see Barry Switzer, he's not like carrying a gun into an airport like he did in real life.
Let's bury that son of a okay, for take that mic.
Now, the first guy Hayden runs into is trying to pitch him as the spokesperson to Jockstrap.
This coming fall, we're introducing a line of ergonomically designed, lycra-reinforced athletic supporters in a rainbow of masculine colors.
Hayden Fox for Universal Jocks.
The highlight of this episode to me is when him and Luther have to share a bed because the hotel doesn't have Hayden's reservation. Now, could you imagine Andy Reid having to share a bed with his offensive coordinator? That thing would need to be the size of Shaq's bed on that MTV Cribs episode. The Screaming Eagles are now ranked 18th overall in the national rankings. So, naturally, the coaches have to celebrate like the 2007 10-6 Cleveland Browns.
I don't give a damn about the rankings, and there better not be anybody on this team who feels any differently.
The rankings are in!
Luther.
The rankings are in! Oh my God, the rankings are in!
And with this recognition, Hayden is now on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And you know that curse. At least you're not shirtless Nomar Garcia-Parra. Hey, listen, just because you're in Sports Illustrated doesn't mean you're cursed. I mean, my grandmother was ranked in Sports Illustrated, and she's not cursed.
This is the worst thing that could ever happen. People who get the picture of that cover are doomed.
What are you talking about?
The curse, Hayden. I'm talking about the curse.
It doesn't matter. They win their first game. The only thing bad to happen is that Stuart, Kelly's husband, decides to leave her for his TV gig. I mean, that's not bad news for Hayden. He hates Stuart. So one of the reasons I actually made this video was when they actually had the Coach reboot, which, you know, why the hell didn't they go forward with it? And also release the pilot so at least people can see it. The first thing that people said was, hey, when are they going to do the gay episode? When are they going to reference Michael Sam? Well, guys, they already did it. We get introduced to Terry Wilcock, no relation to JJ.
When you knocked that tackle into the band and threw that bass drum, man, I was beaming.
Thanks, Coach. Oh, by the way, I checked on that guy. He's going to be okay.
Oh, that's not going to take away from your performance.
Yeah, Hayden's a big fan of people having to be scanned for a CTE. Hayden loves this guy, and since Kelly's getting a divorce, this guy has to go out with Kelly. They'd be perfect.
Nice to meet you.
Well, Kelly kind of thinks that
Dad,
he's gay.
I think he's gay.
Which causes Hayden to go way over the top.
Terry Wilcox is not gay, and I can prove it!
Oh, God.
So to find out if he actually is gay, instead of like directly asking him, Hayden decides to wear a belly shirt and
Hey,
spot
big
the
guy.
guy at the gym.
Hey, Coach.
Are you by any chance a homosexual? Well, I mean, not that it makes any difference to me.
Well, he is gay, okay? You didn't need to like trap him.
Yeah, I'm gay.
What do you mean? How do you mean gay? Like, you know, when men would rather be, like gay, like gay?
Dauber reveals they've had gay players before.
You are telling me that there have been gay Screaming Eagles?
I guess Hayden isn't cool with that because he decides not to teach Terry anything, and Terry probably isn't going to play this week.
Come on, Coach. I may be gay, but I'm not stupid. I mean, you can barely look at me now.
Which causes Terry to quit the team. But since that's kind of a dick move, Hayden has to go to the gay bar and apologize to the guy.
What are you doing here?
Nothing. I'm just taking him home.
Episode 409, they reached their first bowl game, the Pineapple Bowl, which when I researched, hadn't been played for 40 years at the time of this episode.
The Pineapple Bowl? I had no idea we were being considered for the Pineapple Bowl.
Well, you've had an excellent season.
So, Coach exists in some sort of weird time warp, and Dauber is a time traveler. During the last game of the season, Jake Conley, who is Coach's old mentor, shows up to watch the game from the sideline. Coach is so happy, he hands him the playbook to get his assistant.
I just want to wish you all the luck in the world.
The team wins the game, and they're going to go to the Pineapple Bowl. So we find out that the team they're facing is coached by Jake Conley.
You'll be playing against your mentor and lifelong friend, Jake Connolly.
You have to have known that you probably were eligible for some sort of bowl game. And then if you were eligible for some bowl game, wouldn't you know, like, who you might possibly face? I mean, most NFL teams and anybody else already knows 3 weeks away from the playoffs all the different potential scenarios. But you don't know that you could face your mentor? Are you that willy-nilly just handing out your playbook? I guess you are, because the book gets lost a few more times during the seasons. Episode 11 of Season 5 is called the Patriot Bowl.
Well, Georgia won. We're out of the Citrus Bowl. Oregon got the Independence Bowl. They gave Illinois the Holiday Bowl. Are you kidding? Why, I think we would be honored.
What?
We have been invited to the first annual Patriot Bowl. Hey!
Which didn't become a thing till 15 years after this episode. So, this time warp is getting out of control. So during this bowl game, they go to Pennsylvania,
21 below and dropping?
where it is negative degrees, and the rest of the team starts getting sick. Well, I mean, it's not like the weather could be any worse in Minnesota. Wow. Could be worse in Minnesota. Didn't their dome collapse before? And then we get another Carter Fredrickson situation as their quarterback Nash decides to cop an attitude.
I can't believe this is our reward for a winning season.
I don't want to hear talk like that. This is a bowl game. We should be proud to be here.
I'm speaking for the team. We thought a bowl game was supposed to be fun. How are we supposed to have fun in this hellhole?
Fun? You want to have fun? Try playing with a shingle sometime, smart guy.
Playing with shingles? What is his QB icon, Terry Bradshaw?
Terry Bradshaw? What a surprise. You know what else is a surprise? Shingles. And I can hit you out of nowhere.
Side note, why does Terry Bradshaw think it's okay to burst into these people's house and show them pictures of shingles? So Hayden benches his ass.
You just shower up and get the hell out of here. Your season is over.
Hayden, he's the starting quarter.
I don't care.
And puts in a guy who's barely ever played.
Didn't you play a little backup quarterback in high school?
Well, for one game.
We didn't win, and I didn't play very well, but I was in there.
Man, that Eli Manning is a hell of an actor. So in an important game, you're down to your fourth quarterback. Sounds like the Arizona Cardinals in the playoffs. When Notre Dame ends up losing to West Texas, that sends the undefeated Screaming Eagles to the National Conference game. So we're back to playbook problems because Season 6, Episode 10, the playbook, is now Dauber losing the playbook.
I can't say it because if I say it, I'm going to hear it, and if I hear it, I'm going to have to kill myself. I lost my playbook.
The local news finds it and starts reading out design plays on the air. And Hayden, even though his wife Christine is a news anchor, he doesn't like the media, like at all. Like, he's not Rex Ryan friendly, he's more Bill Belichick unfriendly.
It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. It's right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
But luckily, like the NFL draft, the media overthinks it and thinks that this was leaked on purpose. Well, it wasn't. And this kind of upsets Dauber that he could be so careless. So he resigns in the middle of the night. Well, coach finds him, they make up and think of new plays during the night.
Well, let me tell you something about being a football coach. A football coach wouldn't have stayed up all night worrying about his problems. A football coach would have stayed up all night worried about his team's problems. I was worried about the team's problems. The hell you were! You were worried about yourself! If I was worried about myself, I wouldn't have done this. Oh, what the hell's that? It's new place for Sunday, damn it.
So the next episode is the Pioneer Bowl. And we completely forget about all the stuff about missing playbooks. And the Pioneer Bowl is historically played by black colleges. Okay. So instead of being distracted by playbooks, they're now distracted by phone calls from Frank Sinatra and Ronald Reagan.
Hi, Hayden, you got a telegram from Ronald Reagan.
The Gipper?
You guys, this is incredible. You got a telegram from Frank Sinatra.
And watching Luther get knocked out by a vase.
Hey, look out!
Could you imagine the headlines if before an AFC Championship game, Josh McDaniels was concussed by a vase? It'd be a huge story. It'd be super dumb. I mean, not as dumb as Deflategate, but close. So apparently this concussion isn't really a big deal. I mean, Hayden doesn't think much of it. Just Luther needs to get some rest.
I'm afraid Mr. Van Dam is experiencing some confusion, double vision, and disorientation.
Yeah?
Well, that's not good.
No, but that's Luther.
Luther watches the game from his bedside and notices that the West Texas offensive lineman has a tell.
He turns out with his big butt up in the air on pass plays, but not on running plays. So he's telegraphing the place.
And Luther, being the good sitcom character he is, decides to leave the hospital and go to the stadium, where he gets knocked out again.
I got something I gotta tell you.
And Luther tries to make his way out there one more time, and he gets nailed by somebody running the flag. Well, unlike Concussion Guy from Not Another Teen Movie, Luther's able to make it to Hayden and tell him that this guy is a tell. That tell pays off, and the Eagles intercept the ball to end the game. Terrible play calling, though. I mean, did Pete Carroll watch this game and said, yeah, you know what, I'd throw in that situation too? Well, to celebrate, Luther gets wheeled onto the field to watch the goalpost get torn down. And the goalpost falls on him, which, isn't that what killed Tommy Sherman?
Oh my God! The goalpost fell! Tommy Sherman's dead! He's dead!
In episode 620, we find out that Hayden and Christine, well, they're having trouble conceiving a kid. So they're gonna go to a sperm donor. Daubers made over $9,000 donating sperm.
Well, when I was a student, for extra money, I used to make the occasional donation.
That's a lot of Nordic gods that could potentially be out there.
No, but doesn't it bother you that you may have a few thousand kids running around out there? Not at all. In fact, I kind of get a warm feeling anytime I see a blonde, abnormally tall child.
No, I can't go to a sperm bank. The Duffy men use those like ATMs.
Well, Hayden's kind of unsure about this whole thing, and he starts describing what he's really looking for in a sperm donor, what traits he wants.
Dependable, moral, handsome, charismatic, intelligent, great athlete. I mean, there's nobody like this. I mean, who are you going to get? Hulk Hogan? How about Troy Aikman?
And naturally, when you're talking about perfection, you end up thinking Troy Aikman. So they convinced Troy Aikman to be the sperm donor.
Troy Aikman, a quarterback of the last 2 Super Bowl champs, has agreed to be the father of our child.
Could he make that sound any creepier?
Troy is going to give us some of his sperm.
Yes, he could.
Just in case you get in the mood.
Well, Christine doesn't end up going through with this in the end, which I guess it's okay. Troy Aikman's kid would probably end up concussed on the way out. 719, the Johnson Wreckers. I don't know if you remember this, but on the Fox pregame show, Rob Riggle went around and made fun of everybody on that panel's acting resume, but he didn't mention Jimmy Johnson's amazing role in this episode of Coach. Jimmy Johnson's having a book signing, which Hayden goes to. Hayden decides, hey Jimmy, why don't you use my cabin while you're in town?
You won a national championship, I won a national championship, we could compare notes.
Well, I didn't really have any plans, but...
Oh, great, then we'll go out to dinner. This is my town, I'll show you around.
Naturally, when Jimmy Johnson goes to sleep, the gang decides to start wearing his Super Bowl ring.
Hayden, I've never seen a Super Bowl ring in my life, please.
Maybe he takes it off when he's sleeping. You're always
until it gets eaten by
That's
Luther's
true.
dog.
That's true. And then you can always hold it up and look at it and dream of that special day
So the gang has to come up with a way to make it seem like this ring just happened to have gotten stolen. And the episode ends with Jimmy Johnson screaming, gagged, and tied up. Okay. Episode 6, Season 8, Beau Knows. Gee, I wonder where they got that title and reference from.
Have you ever been to L.A.? Hold on, sir.
So by this point, Hayden is actually now in the pros with the expansion team, the Orlando Breakers. They were the worst team in the league. Hayden even has internet groups at the time dedicated to hating him. They even burned dummies that look like Hayden outside of his office. Well, anyway, that day they happened to get a call from one of Hayden's old college quarterbacks, Beau Whitley.
Beau Whitley?
I figured since he was your quarterback in college, you'd want to know right away.
Beau Whitley's coming back?
And this guy is looking to sign with the Breakers. He wants that last contract before retiring.
Word is, he's asking for a 5-year, $25 million contract. There's no way they can pay that in Canada.
Can we pay that here?
What are you asking me for?
You're the general manager.
You keep saying that like it means something.
In real life, Jay Cutler made $126 million on his quarterback contract. 5 for 25 on Beau is like a super steal. But we find out that Doris, the owner of the Orlando Breakers, doesn't want to spend the money.
His name is Beau Whitley. I coached him in college. I think I can get him to sign with the Breakers. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. He's expensive, but he's worth it.
How expensive?
$5 million a year for 5 years.
$25 million for a quarterback?
Ballmaster.
Beau Whitley is kind of just using the Breakers to get his one last big contract.
But this is business. Yeah, I know it's business, but we agreed to pay what your agent was asking.
Nothing personal, but Beau knows selling out.
This team is a loser. He said that a pro quarterback has maybe 7 or 8 years tops to make all he can. And I'll never do that if I sign here.
So even though this is probably one of the later episodes in the series, I find like it's like the most dated because all the information about this episode is for players who actually existed and were drafted in 1996.
You know, we knew we'd be picking first in the NFL draft 3 months ago, and there's only a week left. I mean, time's running out, isn't it? If I pick the wrong guy, people are going to look at me as an idiot for the rest of my life.
Well, going into the draft, the Breakers have, well, every part as a need.
So why don't we just pick Jonathan Ogden? You can never go wrong picking a big offensive lineman who's going to open up some holes. We got nobody to run through those holes.
Dude, Dauber, nice pick, because that's a Hall of Famer. That guy ended up being a Hall of Famer.
Well, then pick Lawrence Phillips. He'll run right through those holes. What holes?
Okay, Dauber, opposite ends of the spectrum, because the Lawrence Phillips story did not turn out well, like at all. Like when I wrote this script, he hadn't been killed in prison yet, and it was still a bad ending. Keyshawn Johnson calls up Coach and says,
"You guys are the worst team in the league. You have no quarterback, really no offense, no defense, so don't pick me."
What does he think he is? Eli Manning? Bo Jackson? Ryan Bosworth? 80s prototype villain John Elway? Well, Coach has to make his decision, and it ends up being Kevin Hardy.
You know, Tommy,
Man, remember when the draft took place midday on a Saturday? You could watch 3 rounds and at the same time eat pizza and consult your draft books. No? You guys like it in prime time? Whatever. I guess us diehards remember the good times. Unfortunately, Doris is refused by Jerry Jones. And, well, she gets cattle ranches and oil wells. And Jerry gets her first-round pick. Nice going, Jerry.
Breakers trade their first pick in the draft to the Dallas Cowboys for a 10,000-acre cattle ranch and 6 oil wells.
He probably used it on another Dave LaFleur anyway in this universe. I mean, when Keyshawn Johnson turned the Breakers down, didn't they have like a big board that just next player available? This team was so poorly managed.